My name is John Zindel. I'm joined by Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
We're getting used to this Saturday thing. Today we're live streaming a little bit earlier. The sun is out. It's the early afternoon. Hey, things look good. So, did SmackDown give us as sunny an evening as the current day here is in southern New Jersey? I don't know, but we're gonna find out. John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story from SmackDown from October 18th, 2024?
Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. And the lead is pretty much no surprise a talking segment between Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, where Roman Reigns even says he acknowledges Solo Sikoa. But eventually they get to a point where there isn't enough acknowledgement from Roman Reigns. Roman declines acknowledging Solo. There's a big brawl. Bloodline comes in, stomps out Roman Reigns, and Bloodline stands strong. Dom, what'd you think about this main event talking segment?
Interesting to see. I'm still getting over seeing Roman out there without Paul Heyman.
Yes.
And they alluded to that earlier in the show when Roman and Jimmy Uso were sitting backstage and there was no Paul Heyman. And, they even said, like, Jimmy saying, like, I'm trying to be your wise man. It's like, you're not a wise man. It's like, I'm not even a wise man. So Roman's out there by himself. They had teased that Jey Uso is in the building. He was part of the opening segment and was part of a backstage segment when Roman and Jimmy arrived. But it's just Roman out there by himself. Solo asked to acknowledge me. And Roman says, I acknowledge you. And Solo says, no, that's not good enough. You have to acknowledge me as your tribal chief. And that's when Roman gets angry. And when Roman gets angry, Solo laughs at him and says, you haven't changed at all. You're still the same guy you always were. At that point, Solo snaps his fingers, which is his call for backup. Tamatanga, Tangaloa, and Jacob Fatu slowly walk out, dragging a beaten Jimmy Uso behind, in tow there. At that point, the schmoz happens in the ring. Jimmy never recovers. He's just laid out near the entrance area. Jey Uso never comes to the rescue. And Roman Reigns, despite fighting valiantly for a while, eventually, like you said, gets beaten down, takes 2 Samoan spikes. The crowd is chanting Solo sucks as the show goes off the air. Little bit of teases that went on in here. Was there anything, because this was a long closing segment. It was like 15 minutes or so. Any particulars in this segment that you wanted to highlight?
Yeah. We, from my perspective, the only thing that I kind of wanted to call out here is Roman Reigns acknowledging Solo Sikoa, just taking that one little step back. He's like, "All right, I acknowledge you."
A little bit.
Yeah, it's almost like when they do like an apology, and you go, "Oh, I'm sorry." It's like, "Did you mean it though?" Like with the apology, and
I'm
it's like,
sorry you were offended.
"I'm sorry that you were offended." Yeah,
Hey.
exactly. It's like one of those apologies. That's what the promo kind of reminded me of. I do want to give a minus. And I just want to say, Nick, what's up, brother? Thanks for
Hello,
joining.
Nick. Saw you last night. I caught your second hour there. You were doing a lot of AEW stuff, and maybe teaser. Maybe we get to some AEW stuff in Cheap Heat.
Ooh.
Yes, Nick from the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour.
Yeah, go ahead and check them out. And I wanted to give a minus for. I noticed a shaky camera during the beatdown, which is something I thought they got rid of. But I have that in my notes, and the production was like the shaky cam. They were doing like the stomps to him, which I always don't like, and I think a lot of people don't like it. But it's specifically I don't like it because it makes me dizzy. But it physically like makes me uncomfortable.
That's not how reality looks.
No, it feels like it makes me dizzy, and also it looks like crap, and it makes it look really fake.
Okay.
Just the
Okay.
word.
Okay. So that's one minus there. I had a couple of pluses. They've been teasing. Will Solo get the Ulafala? Like that? That's their championship belt.
Mm-hmm.
For the bloodline, for the tribe there. It's that necklace that Solo wears now that Roman used to wear. During this one, the Ulafala falls off of Solo Sikoa and it's just sitting there. And this is the point where Roman had beaten up everybody. He picks up the Ulafala, actually puts it on, but then Solo Sikoa low blows him. And at that point, Roman keels over and the Ulafala kind of falls off and Solo takes it the rest of the way. So they're teasing that Roman is just getting it back on, but I may not be up on my ancient Samoan tribalism, but I don't think you get to put on the Ulafala yourself. I think the Ulafala is when other people acknowledge you and someone else puts it on you. It's like you never see Solo Sikoa put it on himself. Like tonight, Jacob Fatu put the Ulafala on Solo Sikoa. I don't know if Roman can just put it on himself like that. That's kind of like Drew McIntyre just taking CM Punk's friendship bracelet and putting it on his own wrist. Like, no, you just stole the thing. It's not really yours, So I wonder what that's going to be. One other thing I wanted to point out. Solo looks like he belongs. Toe-to-toe with Roman Reigns on the mic. There's no drop-off when Solo speaks.
Yes.
He's an A-level heel on the mic at this point.
No, I thought he nailed all his lines. Especially they do a good job of giving some reasoning behind why the heel's a heel.
Yep.
Why he's like, "Oh, you haven't changed. Like you were never going to give this to me, so I just took it." Like, and you could even see then Roman going from like straight babyface to being like, "Well, I'm the tribal chief, not you."
Yep.
It's still that like power struggle where,
Sure.
oh, I want us to be together. I want us to be a family, but also I want to lead, and it's my thing.
Yeah, have people forgotten like the Roman Reigns character for the last several years? How he basically, threatened Jimmy and Jey Uso in order to get the try to get them to acknowledge him in the first place. I mean, Solo's basically doing the Roman Reigns playbook.
Yeah, totally. And it's good
He's
that
doing
they
it well.
acknowledge that. We got a couple chats in that I want to get to. So
okay, ladder match ultimately for the Ulafala. Oh, yes. The Ulafala hanging above the ring there with a ladder. Okay.
it feels like a belt. It feels like something that would be significant to have. It would be better than like King of the Ring or something like that, where you just kind of have it, you win the trophy, and then you move on. Or even the Saudi belt, which you'll have it and you'll move on, and that'll be that. I got another one here. Jesse, this is my wife's sister on and watching. Hello.
Welcome to Don't Bury the Lead on this lovely Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool segment. Always good with the bloodline. And even with no Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns holding his own on the mic here.
Oh, yeah.
And Solo, we keep talking about it ahead of schedule. So, anything else from this main event, Dom?
It's a slow burn, which we've been used to with the bloodline, and I think for good reason. I think they do good slow burns. The only downside to it is because Roman only wrestles premium live events again. If he's going to come out for the main event, it's going to be a talking segment, maybe with a schmaz, but it's not actually going to be a match. That's the only downside to this slow burn with the bloodline, is that you go off the air with not a match.
Right.
But I like the slow burn. There's no need to rush it. Survivor Series is still more than one pay-per-view away. You got to do Crown Jewel first. and then kick it into high gear for 4 weeks for Survivor Series. Then you've got, after that, Royal Rumble, then there's going to be Elimination Chamber, then you've got WrestleMania. So you've got time to build this if we're getting to a big bloodline versus bloodline WrestleMania thing going forward. With Survivor Series maybe in the middle. So there's still time.
Yep. And yeah, so I think maybe we can kick it into the follow here and talk about the rest of the show, and maybe I'll give us what I thought is it was tough for me to pick a match of the night, but maybe one that I thought was pretty good was the opening match here, which is this show was all about tag teams.
Yeah.
And building that up, which I like because they seem to sometimes ignore it from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we're going to have 3 tag teams face each other. The winner of that moves on to next week, and then the winner of that gets a shot at the titles.
Yep.
We have DIY versus the Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly, and DIY go over in, which is a very wonky finish. It's wonky rules for the match, so the finish is wonky as well, where it looks like DIY gets the cover on a legal man, where the Street Profits were making a cover on an illegal man. So that's where we end up here, is DIY getting the win. Dom, what'd you think of this matchup here?
I like the finish because a triple threat tag team where there's always one legal competitor from each team in the ring, so it's always a triple threat. That can get a little confusing. So they played into the confusion at the end of the match. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano hit the meet in the middle on Kit Wilson. Montez Ford does the top turnbuckle sunset flip neck breaker as D'Angelo Dawkins holds Elton Prince up on his shoulders. Montez pins Elton. Ciampa pins Kit. The referee counts, because it was a simultaneous cover there. The referee counts 3. Each guy thinks he's won, but the ref correctly notes, no, Kit Wilson's the legal competitor. That's the pinfall that counts. So I like it. It's a confusing mess of a match. So make the finish confusing, and the referee knew what was going on, though. So okay, that's the good wrinkle there. That's the only note I had for the match. I'm watching the whole thing going, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Okay. And then the finish happened. I went, okay.
That is a great description of the match, because I don't have a lot of notes because it was moving so quickly. I couldn't really keep up. Mm-hmm. And also in the first 2 minutes, I have a minus. It said 2 dives in the first 2 minutes, which I'm like, okay, we're doing everyone just dives and catches each other and then dives and catches each other. All right. We got to do away with that one. We got to start I don't want to nitpick too much, because I know that they have these spots, they work them out. If I'm in the Performance Center, I'm like, no dives, stop diving. It's been beaten to death at this point.
It's visually impressive, though. It makes a heck of a lot more sense to do the LA Knight feet first through the ropes at the guy as you grab the rope. That makes much more sense.
We'll talk about that later. I noticed another team do that, but I don't want to spoil it.
There you go.
So I noticed that, and I like that, the baseball slide. So,
yep.
The 2 dives, Pretty Deadly, man, they really make the most of their minutes when they're on the TV screen. They stick out the most. They have a gimmick which feels like it should be awful, but they really go for it, and they really pull it off to the point where we both like Pretty Deadly.
Yeah.
They did a great job selling to the crowd, and the crowd was either chanting "You suck" or something like that. They were giving it back to them.
So they weren't yelling "Yes, boy" back at them.
They weren't doing the "Yes, boy," but there is some face turn down the corner or down the road for them. I could see it working, but
they have a lot of charisma.
It's raw charisma which they have out there, which they are able to pull off this very difficult gimmick to pull off.
It's not just heels telling people to shut up and using weapons and cheating. Like they
Yeah.
have they're heels with charisma. So whenever you notice a heel has charisma, you're like, okay, that could be a pretty good face turn if it works. So
Mhm.
yeah, I like I said, I didn't have any other really spots to call out in this match. I mean, you called out the ones that I was trying to not mention, the dives. But
No, well, only because it's my gimmick is to call out
yes.
dives. So that's all part of my gimmick. Um, do you want to move to the next match here? So we talk DIY Street Profits Pretty Deadly. Do you want to
Want
talk
to
about
go to the other triple threat where
Yeah,
we
that
got a
probably
surprise of the night? It was Legado del Fantasma, that's Angel and Humberto, versus A-Town Down Under, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, versus making their debut in the WWE, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. They not only let them use their names, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, that they've been using everywhere else, but they also let them use the Motor City Machine Guns name. It's a very un-WWE thing to do.
Yeah.
But the Motor City Machine Guns come out and they wind up winning this match. They pin Umberto after Shelley hits the top turn crossbody while Sabin held Umberto in the inverted face lock, almost like he was going to do the the Sting Scorpion Death Drop on him. Winds up being about a 10-minute match. Lots of action again. The announcers are trying to put over the Motor City Machine Guns like crazy. It was
Yes.
almost a foregone conclusion that they had to win this with how they were being just pumped up by Wade Barrett. You know, just
Wade is a great cheerleader when he wants to be. He
Yeah.
can really. He's done that with LA Knight a lot too.
Yeah,
And
as a former wrestler, it almost has some gravitas behind it, right? Like, oh, he's a former wrestler, so he would know.
It's what the color guy is supposed to do. The
Yeah.
color guy is supposed to put over the talent in the ring, not just kind of ignore them, or it's supposed to be like, oh, this guy's really good for these following reasons.
It's color commentary. That's what it is in every sport.
Right.
Something other than just the play-by-play action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I like Wade Barrett in that role. He was here because Michael Cole is on assignment. I don't know what that means. So Corey Graves slid back over to play-by-play, and they brought in Corey Graves at the beginning. Said, "I've got some bad news for you." It's bad news, Barrett. Like, oh, ha, ha, ha. There's so they have some good chemistry. And yeah, I did like Wade Barrett there, but I wonder at this stage of this career what the Motor City Machine Guns can do. They've been wrestling almost for 20 years outside of the WWE. They've been great as singles competitors and as the tag team, obviously, as the Motor City Machine Guns. Like Chris Sabin was TNA champ, singles champ for a while.
Wow.
He did have a neat run there. He was like way over as a baby face. Alex Shelley had some singles titles as well. Both these guys have been X Division champs in TNA, which is kind of their secondary belt for the singles. So they've both been that. Then they kind of got put together as a tag team, and they just clicked very, very well. And so the Motor City Machine Guns became a thing. And I wonder what they'll be able to do in the WWE. They're kind of the size of DIY, a little smaller than Pretty Deadly, a little smaller than A-Town Down Under, definitely smaller than Angelo Dawkins, but they kind of wrestle the way Montez Ford does for the Street Profits. Kind of that luchador thing that the Legado del Fantasma guys do, Angel and Umberto. So they're going to fit very well into the current tag team landscape on SmackDown as represented by these 6 teams tonight. I don't know if that's going to add much to the division, though. They're not really a different tag team than what we've seen. Like the Raw belts seem to have more variety from the tag teams that are vying for it.
Yes.
Everybody in the men's tag team division on SmackDown, they look like they're going to do Irish whips and dives all night.
Right. I know what you mean. They have different styles of wrestling in their tag team division.
Over on Raw.
Yeah.
More so.
I
think that's why Angelo Dawkins is like a breath of fresh air whenever there's a Street Profits match.
Yeah.
It's a power guy. He can do some of the leaping stuff, but he's a power guy. He
Mhm.
wrestles differently. He looks different in the ring when he gets in there and performs.
It's a shame you don't have AEW or you don't watch it. FTR would be like right up our alley. They
Okay.
don't do any dives or anything like that, but they're just excellent in ring, and they're big freaking old school hosses that are just athletes. They both look like linebackers, college football linebackers. Like,
Okay.
but yeah. So, um, what did you think of Motor City Machine Guns? Because I have never heard of this team. I actually heard the okay. I should say I heard of the name, but I had no idea who the people were. Then I Google them, and I'm like, oh, these guys have been around for a very long
Yep.
time.
I remember each of them from their primes. I didn't see too much of the Motor City Machine Guns the last, say, 10 years or so. So I
Mhm.
don't know how they've progressed in their career. I remember sort of the first half of their careers earlier, even preceding the tag team.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to be able to compete with some of the younger talent, because they've both got to be in their 40s by now. I haven't checked up on it.
One was 41 or 42 years old. So yeah, they're up there.
Yeah, so I
They're up
wonder.
there for getting their shot in WWE.
Finally, it's like an LA Knight story, like finally getting your shot as you're in your late 30s,
Yeah.
and seeing how much you can squeeze into a WWE run. I thought they worked what I remember them being. They're very acrobatic, lots of gymnastics. If you like that kind of thing, there's plenty of it in the SmackDown tag team division. Between LDF, DIY, Montez Ford, there's plenty of that. So if you like that fast-paced acrobatic style, you're now going to get even more of that. I wonder, like, DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns. It's going to be like 4 of the same guy in the match.
I know.
Like, they're all the same guy.
They are all similar, maybe a little smaller, but like fit and bigger, but like a little bit smaller, and they're doing all the agility moves and the gymnasticy stuff. So
I wonder what kind of a match they're going to have. Like, I don't want it to be too stale in the sense that, okay, it's acrobatics, which are supposed to be exciting, but like it's all acrobatics.
mhm,
So
mhm.
I wonder what kind of a match they'll be able to have. So I'm intrigued, not necessarily because I'm optimistic
And
and
I'm
glowing
assuming
over
they're
it.
both baby faces, right?
Yeah, who's the heel?
Yeah, will DIY
Motor
have
City Machine Guns got a pretty decent pop. I mean, they were playing them up as baby faces.
I did notice the crowd was chanting either their names or something while they were doing, and they were selling to the crowd, trying to get them to do go go go. They probably have a big crowd for the first time in like years. If they've been in
Right.
TNA, they're like, oh my god, yeah, I can work the crowd. You know?
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing again. Like DIY versus the Street Profits. It's been babyface on babyface. Unfortunately, the heel tag teams on SmackDowns are kind of the half comedy teams. It's A-Town Down Under or it's Pretty Deadly.
Yeah,
Like, they don't have just a vicious dominating heel team.
Bloodline, but that's it.
Bloodline, who have the belts.
Right.
But like, so if once they have the belts, the only people challenging them, and maybe that's where it has to be, is like, you just want to have the baby faces square off to see what baby face gets to challenge for the belts.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we can probably move on to the next match here. So we'll see that next week on SmackDown. We'll see what they do. We can go to the next match here, which I would say is the opposite of the gymnastic-y stuff. And we got two hosses in Piper Niven versus Lash Legend in her debut from NXT. We saw a very, very little bit from her in a tag team match where she got squashed. But she got a singles match here, and Lash Legend goes over Piper Niven. Dom, what did you think about this? I'm going to call it a singles debut for Lash Legend
Yep.
and Piper Niven here.
Both tag team partners were on the outside and did get involved a little bit. So Chelsea Green was there, and Jakara Jackson was there as well. But yeah, Lash Legend goes over in about 3 minutes. But 3 minutes of wrestling time on screen there. It seemed like more though, because they didn't waste a lot of time. They were trading early covers. It was a lot of power on power stuff. So it was fun. They teased, Ken Lash Legend pick up Piper Niven for like a big slam or something. Eventually, she whips Piper Niven into the ropes. Piper comes off like she's going to do a cross body. Lash catches her and then turns her for the body slam. And then that was pretty neat. And then a little bit later, the finish comes. Maybe this is Lash Legend's finishing move. She kind of gets Piper Niven up in what looks like it's going to be that backdropping power slam, except it's face first rather than back first. So it's not really like the white noise that the Sheamus does, where it would be, planting the guy back first as you drop backwards with him. This is, Piper's up there face first getting smashed into the ring. So it's a new wrinkle, different move, and this gets her the pinfall. I'm a little surprised that they just brought this tag team up from NXT, already put him in a match with the tag champs.
Yeah.
And now we're giving one of them a singles victory over Piper Niven. So I don't know what the plans are here. Are they just ramping up all of the tag team divisions? I mean, is SmackDown trying to introduce new wrestlers slowly in anticipation of going to 3 hours in the new year? And saying, well, we're going to have more time to fill, so we're going to need more people on SmackDown. Because we saw that in another match. I don't have much else to say about this match. I'll give the tease segue for the next match. Is the only match we haven't done yet was a tag team which we saw Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell making their way to SmackDown. So are they trying to slowly? Raw's already down to 2 hours. Are they slowly migrating more people to SmackDown because SmackDown's going to need more on-screen wrestlers soon?
Oh, that's a great point. I didn't even think of that. That's why we're seeing all the, because I was like, this is a lot. Yeah, this is a lot of new people, which is good. And I was like, is this like the booking strategy too by Triple H? Maybe just to keep things fresh. Don't keep people out there for too long where they're stale. Keep everybody fresh. That can work. So bring people up from NXT that can work, and then that are good. Give them the opportunities, and they
don't have to be up here forever. Like
Kevin Owens is at home doing a promo, but he's at home. He's not, and he just does a quick couple liner at home promo. I did want to talk a little bit about this match before we moved on from it, because I do want to say, even though the match wasn't very long, I thought it was a good match. It didn't feel like a squash.
No.
And it felt like they got a lot of stuff in the short time they were given. Lash Legend looked pretty smooth, considering it's the first time I've ever seen her.
Okay.
And if Jade Cargill had the match tonight that Lash Legend had, I would say, you know what? Jade looks pretty good.
Yeah, we'd be raving about her, right?
We'd be raving about her. So if you want to use that as your baseline, Jade Cargill, what she was supposed to get to, this is kind of what you wanted out of Jade by now, where she could have a match like this. It looks good. She gets a win over Piper Niven. They both kind of look strong because she looks so good, Lash. And I wonder if this is like, I'm looking at this match and I'm like, man, I wish this was Jade had this capability, because we wouldn't be in this snafu that we're in right now with Jade. And then in addition to that, I wish they would even give Jade the opportunity to do this match with Piper Niven. And kudos to Piper Niven for putting on a good match with someone I've never seen in my life. Who knows if they're any good? Sometimes they call these people from NXT and it's woof, Yeah. So this was not a woof. This is actually nice showing by Lash.
I'm going to read your teleprompter. That sounds like a shorts or a short video.
Yes.
Lash Legend, very athletic, strong, built not like the skinny girls who look like they're almost going to break. built, well proportioned, looks like an athlete. Seemed to be a little early on some of the moves where she was supposed to get out of the way of a Piper Niven move. She seemed like she was avoiding it too early to where you're like, how did Piper Niven not see that she moved?
Yeah, the timing wasn't just
she's
there.
a beat too early. It's like that timing has to be a little crisper.
Mm-hmm.
But like all the tools are there. She both sold, wrestled a little bit defensively, and did her own offense. That's really what you're looking for. If you only sell and do your own offense, then it's a spot fest. But if you can sell, keep selling, and wrestle defensively, now it's not a spot fest. So that's what I'm looking for. And yeah, I think Lash Legend can do it. I'm with you. If this had been if Jade Cargill could wrestle like this in a singles match, we'd be talking about, okay, she's ready for the push into the upper levels of the women's division to challenge for a belt.
Yeah, you would be like, good signing, good. It would be all positive stuff, and I was hoping we would get there. I mean, we've both been cheering for Jade. It's just they're either not letting her or she can't do it. So
kudos to Lash Legend. We don't know if she and Jakara Jackson are going to be on the main roster continuously, or if this was just a few weeks from NXT before they get sent back down. But yeah, I thought they gave a good showing for themselves the last 2 weeks. We know who they are and we remember them.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them.
So we have
one more match and a bunch of backstage stuff.
One more matchup. So we have Nia Jax and Candice LeRae go over Bayley and Naomi, and Candice LeRae is in because Tiffany Stratton has called out sick.
Yes.
So Candice LeRae steps in. Naturally, the heels go over dirty. Indy Hartwell interferes and picks up the pinfall. Dom, what did you think of this matchup?
I thought it was pretty cool. I had no idea what Candice LeRae was going to do. She's the smallest one in the match. I don't know much about her, but it was a fun little match, and she winds up getting the pinfall. She hits a springboard moonsault on Bayley, of all people, because you said Indy Hartwell eventually interfered on the outside while the ref was checking on Candice LeRae. Indy Hartwell throws Bayley into the ring post. Both Naomi and Nia Jax are out on the other side of the ring because of a dive by Naomi onto Nia Jax. So this becomes a hurt Bayley getting slid into the ring, where Candice LeRae does a springboard moonsault and gets the pinfall. So a little bit of a surprise win here. Now, Candice LeRae had said in the back when she and Indy Hartwell walked in to Nick Aldis's office and said, I'll tag with Nia Jax tonight. And I was looking at her like, what? You? Candice LeRae winds up getting the pinfall. And then Nia acts all resentful afterwards. She climbs into the ring. She's still glaring at Candice LeRae for getting the pinfall, telling the ref, raise my hand as she holds her belt. So yes. Nia doing she's doing the big sister, little sister thing, but even more so than she does with Tiffany Stratton.
That was so great.
Right? Because your runt kid sister just did something good and you resent it.
It was great because it didn't give you any hope that Nia, she's going full heel. Even when she wins, she didn't get the win, so she's angry at Candice for some reason.
She's angry at her partner.
For winning.
Yes.
Which, that's more in line with how a heel should think.
Yes.
Rather than being so cooperative with their teammate that they're, way in sync.
They did that earlier in the match. Nia started off, and eventually she tags in Candice LeRae to, okay, let's see what you can do. Or it was Candice LeRae who tagged herself in. And so Nia looks at her, okay, you better not cost me this match. She had said that to her backstage. And so Nia's looking at her again. Candice LeRae comes in, gets, knocked around the ring for maybe a minute. Scrambles over and tags in Nia, who wasn't even reaching for the tag. And Nia just looks at her like, and you want to be my tag team partner.
Yeah, I know. She's She's so disgusted by her.
Just disgusted. It reminds me of Seinfeld when George is trying to fool the unemployment office into thinking that he's been trying to get a job at Vandelay Industries selling latex, and he gives them Jerry's phone number. And he like rushes over to Jerry's apartment. He's like, if someone calls from the employment industry, you have to tell the Vandelay Industry. Answer the phone, Vandelay Industries. And then George goes into the bathroom. Kramer comes over. The phone rings. Kramer picks up the phone because like that's what they just do in Jerry's world.
Mhm.
And he's like, what? No, you got the wrong number. No, what a No. And you could hear George shouting from the bathroom, Vandelay, say Vandelay Industries. And George comes running out of the bathroom with his pants around his ankles and his boxer shorts. And he's screaming, Vandelay Industries. As Kramer hangs up the phone and George just crumples in a heap on the floor. And at that point, Jerry walks back into his apartment and sees George on the floor and goes, and you want to be my latex salesman.
Classic scene. Amazing.
It's just the disdain. Like, oh, this is my partner, really?
Oh, I will. Yeah, I will take a sideways turn to any Seinfeld inside joke. 100%.
Sure. Like, and you want like that was the look that Nia Jax gave Candice LeRae when Candice LeRae was like, "Yes, tag me in," tagged herself in, then got the crap beat out of her for half a minute, and then rushed over and tagged Nia Jax, who wasn't even looking for the tag. Like, and you want to be my latex salesperson,
right? But all in all,
fun match all the way around.
Kind of gives a little shine to Indy and Candice to give them a little screen time.
Yep.
They have been pretty much perennial jobbers or not on TV, either or, right? So, and also always cool when they do like a big upset like that. Like Bailey gets pinned by Candice LeRae, which is like what, you know?
Yep.
But
thanks to a little double team move there, but yes.
I wonder if she really was out. Tiffany Stratton.
Oh, Tiffany, I have no idea. Or
I wonder if she's really on the shelf, because why would she call out sick, or why isn't she part of the storyline?
Yeah, I mean, she is kind of a diva, so you know.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't. I still think there's a lot of room to go here with the Tiffany Stratton Money in the Bank case. So I don't think. I think Tiffany's just off TV for 1 week and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a lot more time, and I love what they're doing with Nia and Tiffany so far. Yep. So,
and they've teased that there's going to be something at Crown Jewel with them, because Nia's already said, after I destroy Liv Morgan, you cash in your Money in the Bank briefcase and become the women's world champion. So they've already set that up that Tiffany Stratton will probably be over there in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and
so
kudos.
Interesting.
Kudos to Nia Jax, too, who was out of the company, out of work, just out of wrestling for a while there, to come back, be good enough that they give her the opportunity to be the women's champ, and she's delivering on it. So kudos to Nia
Number one
Jax.
heel in the women's division.
Yeah.
And not because they put the belt on her. Like, she's that character.
Yeah, and it's a loaded roster on the women's side for sure. It's crowded, which is a good thing for WWE, and she's done well with the title. So anything else you want to talk about with the show? There's a couple backstage segments and talk.
There are a couple of backstage segments. Carmelo Hayes and Andrade try to have a joint interview, but they fight almost immediately. Nick Aldis has to break them up. Later on, we get Nick Aldis telling people that LA Knight will be the special guest referee for their match. I think they promoting it for next week's SmackDown. So that's fun. And LA Knight, of course, is saying he doesn't like either one of you. He's calling it right down the middle. So that was pretty neat to see a couple of NWA guys who were in the NWA together.
Yeah.
A handful of years ago. LA Knight as Eli Drake and Nick Aldis were there. So fun stuff. They can both work the mic. That's going to be fun. Carmelo Hayes Andrade is going to be another fun match. They seem to be adding new things they can do as they build a chemistry together. I'm interested in that. Cody Rhodes is the changeover of the hours in the ring, talking about Crown Jewel and Gunter, and this didn't need to happen. I don't know. It did nothing for me. There was no confrontation. It was just him looking at the Crown Jewel belt while some creepy guys in the background stood there with white gloves, who I guess we're not supposed to let the Crown Jewel belt out of their sight.
Yeah, they it might be an advertisement for the belt, to buy the belt. Or,
right?
It's just like, hey, here's this cool belt. Isn't
You're
it
a replica of the Crown Jewel belt.
You're a replica because we've got 10,000 of them manufactured already. We need to push these things.
Please buy our fake belt.
Yeah, right.
Please buy our fake belt.
Please buy the Saudi Arabia belt.
Yes. Other backstage stuff. Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso arrive. Jay sees them arrive, smiles at Jimmy, but scowls at Roman. And he's going to walk away, but Roman grabs Jay by the arm and says, "I'm proud of you. We all are." And Jay says, "No yeet," and walks away. I still have no idea what yeet and no yeet mean. I'm trying to pick it up from the context clues. But I'm not getting. I don't like yeet, no yeet. Why would he say no yeet? I don't know what that means. It's old man yells at cloud. Old man yells at yeet cloud. I don't know what you mean. Yeet, no yeet.
It's kind of funny, Dom, because not only is yeet, I've looked up it's an old phrase that young kids said, but now they don't say it anymore. So it's already past its prime.
So obviously 40-year-old wrestlers are now saying it.
So exactly. It was already dead on arrival when WWE pro wrestlers that are 40 were saying it. Yeah, it was no, it's done. Yeet is gone.
I don't know. You brought up Kevin Owens. They did an interview segment where they made it look like he was not allowed in the arena that night, talking about how Randy Orton turned on him when he sided with Cody Rhodes. So Kevin Owens playing up like, I don't know why everyone hates me because I keep ambushing them.
Yeah, I know.
It's not me. It's not my fault. It's them. I don't know. Everyone thinks I'm the bad guy for ambushing my friend outside his bus and then ambushing my other friend from behind as he was just trying to talk to me. I don't know if people don't like me. They did tease that Randy Orton is not getting his match with Kevin Owens because the order is coming from above not to make that match.
Triple H.
Triple H. There you go. So Randy Orton says, okay, I think I know who I have to talk to now. What was their faction with Triple H, a very young Randy Orton, Dave Bautista, and Ric Flair? They were Evolution?
You got it. Yeah, the Evolution.
The old Evolution mates got to have a reunion here. Randy Orton, as the seasoned veteran now, not as the youngest WWE World Champion ever, but as a seasoned veteran, may have to go and call in some old-time working capital there with Triple H.
Yeah, it's a pretty good stable because you have a lot of variety. Basically, yeah. I mean, it's three huge dudes now, but Randy Orton was newer, so it's like the future. Then you have the present with Triple H when he was in his prime, and then you had Flair, who was a bit too old to be a top guy, but everyone still loves Flair. Yep. So good. And was Batista in that too?
Dave Bautista was there as kind of the muscle for Triple H.
Yeah.
It was a good 4-man group. I mean, Kevin Sullivan has brought that up. If you go more than 4 with a group, it starts getting watered down. And who are these people? 4 is the number. The 4 horsemen. I would agree, and I think a lot of stables do make that mistake when there's too many people on it. If there's a 5th or 6th, then it's just who is this guy? I can't even get into any there's. The dynamics are too. You don't have a good dynamic between each character then. Yep. I mean, the best bloodline was 4 guys, and they kind of added Sami Zayn as a 5th. Or they had Sami Zayn already, then they added Solo Sikoa. Paul Heyman was there. But, right now the bloodline is 4 guys. Yes. It works.
Mhm.
Judgment Day, when they were at their best, was 4 people.
Yeah, the Judgment Day when it was 4 people was perfect.
Yeah, it was Damian Priest, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and Rhea Ripley. Then they
Mhm.
kind of added JD McDonough and Carlito because, and that set the stage for Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest leaving to pare down the number again.
Yeah.
Now it looks like, rumors are maybe Carlito goes on a singles run to pare back down to Finn Balor, JD McDonough, Dominic Mysterio, Liv Morgan. Is Raquel Rodriguez in there now? Who knows?
Oh, right. Raquel
So
Rodriguez.
maybe they're going to be 5 now that they have 2 women in the group, because Liv Morgan has her enforcer, so again, it gets to be too many. So yeah, I think Evolution was a great 4-man group. And maybe we're going to get a little nostalgia there if Randy Orton has to go all the way up to Triple H to get his match with Kevin Owens.
Right.
I think that's all I had from this. That was really all that happened. We touched on just about everything because everything played into the show in some fashion, except for the Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, LA Knight stuff, which was all just promoing next week.
Yeah. So, Dom, that is all I really had from my perspective. And
Is it drive time?
I think it is. As I wobble and
Is it
select.
drive time? It's time for the thumb drive. You and I are going to distill this entire SmackDown into a simple thumbs up or a thumbs down. There are no ties. There are also no star ratings, no letter grades, no number grades. You're taking this course. Pass, fail.
Dom, we're not Dave Meltzer. No. We don't do the star ratings. We don't do 7 stars in the Tokyo Dome. We don't do 2 stars at the Crypto.com arena in Los Angeles. That's a real arena, folks. Crypto.com. Give me a break. And Dom, we don't do star ratings. We give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So,
yes, we do.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Oh! Dom, why did you give this SmackDown a thumbs down?
It seemed like a missable show.
Yeah.
You didn't have to watch the show.
True. I think you could have read an article. You could have even just straight missed it. and you would have been completely caught up. The only reason that I gave it a thumbs up, because I was thinking thumbs down,
Mhm.
and I slept on it, and I was like, I like the Lash Legend. I think she looked good,
Okay.
and they did have some wrestling. You could have skipped it, but for me, Lash Legend actually put it over, and I was like,
Okay.
because I was
good
going
for
to
her.
give
See,
it.
that's a great take.
I was going to give it a thumbs down, but I was like, I'm impressed from what I've seen from her and her debut, and it's cool they're debuting people and keeping it fresh. If it was another match, if they did like one more repeat match that we've seen a lot, if they had done another Kevin Owens, Randy Orton versus A-Town Down, then I'd been like, all right, this show's terrible. I've seen this match so many times. But for that reason, I gave it a thumbs up. It was a coin flip though for me.
Okay. Well, that's a good reason to give it. Like somebody up from NXT gave a good showing of herself.
Yeah.
That's a good reason to bump the show. Okay. I just thought, that match was a 3-minute match. And while I do like what they did in that match, they only gave him 3 minutes. Everything else, this seemed like a missable show.
The tag matches, when I was thinking like what was the match of the night and I couldn't come up with one, that's always a problem. It means like, oh, there wasn't really that good of a match. And the triple threat tag team thing was like, all right, well, this is a mess,
Yeah.
I mean, they set themselves up for failure when they have those types of matches anyway.
Agreed. This one was teetering. I teetered down. You teetered up. So it's a wash.
Yep.
There will be more shows. There will be more SmackDowns. There will be more premium live events.